I told you this could happen months ago. Now it's back in the headlines. Trump might let taxes rise for the rich. I'm going to tell you what's happening, and I'm going to tell you how you should prepare for this. Now, if you've watched me before, you know my opinion on Western high-tax legacy brand countries, and that is the momentum is going in the wrong direction. You can't trust them. I don't care who's in power, your guy or the other guy. Taxes are eventually going to have to go up. And I think that this mystique around the Trump administration is, oh, look at what happened in 2017. Taxes went down. Taxes went down for big corporations. I'm not saying that as a pejorative, like some, communist. What I am saying is the average person running a small business didn't see their taxes go down that much. In fact, if you look at this article I'm going to share with you from Axios today, they have a flashback section. Ronald Reagan came in, lowered the top tax rate from 70 to 28%. That's a tax cut. A signature George W. Bush achievement reduced the marginal tax rate from 39.6% to 35%. And I've referenced that for years saying, big deal. Sure, we work with clients who, in many cases, make millions of dollars a year. Every extra 100 or 200 grand counts. And then at the end of the day, you're still giving away 35% plus potentially a state tax, plus Medicare tax, plus Social Security on part of it, plus. You're giving that to the government to waste. And so if Trump were to sign legislation that allowed the top rate to move forward, it would be a reversal of the pattern in the United States, says Axios. Now, let me share with you the headline. I'm going to share with you my thoughts, and then I'm going to tell you what you can do about this and protect yourself. And this is coming from someone who's politically homeless. I'm a former U.S. citizen. I decided, let the United States be someone else's circus. But if you're sitting in it right now, I wouldn't be so comfortable that just because there's a Republican in office, that they're not going to do some of the same stuff that Joe Biden wanted to do. I complained about Biden, and now I'm bringing this to your attention because back in January, Steve Bannon said you got to soak the rich. Scoop, Trump might let taxes rise for the rich to cover breaks on tips. Remember, he said, we're not going to have taxes on tips. And I looked at that as kind of such retail politicking that, let's just buy votes. Trump said he was going to end citizenship-based taxation. And our own in-house R&D team looked at those comments, and we suggested that he might reduce citizenship-based taxation, which is where if you're an American living overseas, you still have to pay with all the exceptions and exclusions. He might limit that, but it's probably not going away in its entirety. We've heard nothing about citizenship-based taxation ending so far. Now there's talk of, is he going to come through the promise to end taxes on tips? Now, I'm all for helping people. I worked in the service industry when I was in school. I worked at restaurants. I know a lot of those people don't report their tips. And part of this was just about legalizing that income so they can go out and get mortgages and things like that. Because I think a lot of people, at least when I was working there in restaurants as a kid, they just weren't reporting the tips. I mean, my dad literally called the restaurant and said, make sure Andrew reports all of his takeout tips. I don't care what everybody else does. That's the law. And that's where I learned to become the goody two-shoes of the offshore world. My dad always said, play it straight. But most people aren't paying taxes on their tips. But Trump's big thing was, hey, I'll make it easy. Don't take the taxes away on your tips, even though more than half the taxes in the United States are paid by the evil rich. So Axios says the Trump administration is discussing a surprising option to help fulfill his campaign trail promises, allowing the richest Americans' tax rates to rise in exchange for cutting taxes on tips, a senior White House official tells Axios. Some White House officials believe letting income taxes on the very highest earners rise would buy breathing room on other priorities and help blunt Democrats' attacks as they seek to extend Trump's 2017 tax cuts. You heard some folks in the cabinet saying not renewing those tax cuts would be catastrophic. Officials say all discussions are preliminary, nothing is set in stone, but we're seeing a pattern. This is a Republican administration that perhaps you like plenty of things that they're doing. Listen, I'm not entirely against every single thing that Trump ever did. I hit on Biden for 4 years as well. I don't like any of them. I don't like the direction the country is going. You're getting ripped off no matter who's in charge. That's why we help people move out of the country. Take away the romance of how your country was once great. It's not so great anymore. I don't care which side you're on. But here's what we're seeing for the first Republican administration, I would guess, in my lifetime, is this populism of, hey, we got to get votes, and we're basically going to throw you, the historical Republican voter, the person who started a business, the person who worked hard, the person who took the risk, the person who now is making money, and you're paying most of those taxes. During the pandemic, only about 40% of Americans paid any income tax at all. And yet now the Republicans have gone to the same level as the Democrats to saying, let's focus on the people who aren't paying much, if any, tax at all, and give them even more tax relief. This is the first administration that is just saying, yeah, listen, the future is populism, and who cares about those historical voters and the entrepreneurs and the business people? Let them pay more so that we can get reelected. And so when people say, why don't you stay and fight for your country? The politicians of all stripes are fighting for themselves. Their goal is to get reelected. And we'll cover that here in this article. Currently, the top income tax rate is 37%. Now, you've heard me say, we help people move overseas and reduce their tax rates. Americans, Canadians, people from the UK, Australia, all over the world. We help people. Brazil, Vietnam, we help clients from all around the world. But you've heard me say, stop paying 40, 50% tax. When you add it all up, when you add up, the Medicare tax, when you add up, maybe you've got a state tax, maybe you've even got a city tax. Now you can get rid of state and city tax, but you can't get rid of all the federal stuff, and that can easily get you to 40%. If you're an entrepreneur. Yeah, I know that's only the top bracket. Some of our clients make millions of dollars a year, so the majority of their income is taxed at that top bracket. In this case, above $609 grand for an individual, or $731 grand for a married couple. If you make $3 million a year and you're married, more than 3/4 of your income is taxed at that top rate. The blended, tax rate pretty quickly gets not far away from that 37%. If the 2017 law that Trump passed were to expire, that would jump the rate to 39.6% plus. Now, some people, if you're making enough money, aren't going to be that much less than half. Around 1% of taxpayers are in that top bracket, and they pay a disproportionate share of income taxes. I thought that was the point of Republicans in office, was bringing attention to that truth. That for all the talk that, yes, there are a handful of companies that don't pay tax. Mitt Romney paid a tax rate of, 12% on his millions and millions of dollars of income. By the way, Mitt Romney still paid a hell of a lot more in tax than almost everybody else in the country, a fact that is so often overlooked because the teachers are paying more than Mitt Romney. No, they're not. Mitt Romney is paying millions of dollars in taxes. The rate is lower. I happen to think that's one of the most fair systems. You look at a country like an Ireland, where they have a non-dom system, or Malta, or a Cyprus, where they have a non-dom system. You can leave money overseas. You pay tax on what you remit into the country. You're basically, at the end of the day, paying a user fee to live there. Why should someone else's user fee be 10,000 times what someone else's? Do they use 10,000 times the roads? Do they send 10,000 times more kids to schools? Do they get 10,000 more times the military protection? Mitt Romney's paying enough. And so the Republicans have just decided, who cares? Under the budget reconciliation rules, the Republicans seek to extend the tax cuts that would free up more revenue that could be used to fulfill some of Trump's populist promises, such as taxes on tips. It would also, here's the part I'm talking about, flip the script on Democrats, whose messaging focuses on Republicans telling the truth, basically. And they don't always tell the truth. I'm not here carrying water for the Republicans, believe me. Got plenty of beefs with them. But they tell the truth historically. But it's like, the top 1% pays half the taxes. And some years, almost 2/3 of people pay nothing. How can you cut nothing? If we renew the tax cuts for the rich, paid for by throwing people off of Medicaid as if it's a binary choice. Well, it is, because they have $37 trillion in debt and they are broke. But if we renew tax cuts for the rich, we're going to get effing slaughtered, said the White House official. So in order for their job to not get effing slaughtered, your taxes have to go up, because here's what's happened. In my lifetime, the United States has gone from being this great beacon of the world, and when I was born, it was the best place in the world to be born, according to the study that says best places to be born. Number 2, I believe, was West Germany. It tells you how times change. And you look at over this last 40 years, all the chickens have come home to roost as the rest of the world has become more competitive. As a country like the aforementioned Ireland said, you know what, we'll be a English-speaking headquarters for a lot of these companies, and we'll have a lower tax rate, and we'll be competitive. Oh, okay, that sounds like an interesting, sure, let's go to Ireland. And we'll build up our country from being not very wealthy to being one of the wealthiest countries in the world. The countries, Malaysia, for example, we host Nomad Capitalist Live, our annual event there. It is substantially more developed than it was 40 years ago. We host our event there because it is an honest to goodness alternative to living in the United States, to living in Kuala Lumpur, where I live part-time. That has changed in 40 years. In the United States and other countries, if you're Canadian, if you're British, if you're Australian, your country's done some version of this. They just figured we'll bully the rest of the world, / the rest of the world is too dumb or lazy to catch up, and we're not going to be competitive. Why should we be competitive? And what happened? People can't afford to live in these countries anymore. And what have I been predicting for years? They're going to have a fit. There's going to be political chaos in terms of the rich need to pay more taxes. Apparently now there's not a single political party in the United States that's going to unilaterally stand up and tell the truth that the rich are already paying most of the taxes. Yes, fine, Amazon, great. I looked at some of the stocks that I've owned over the years in the US. I looked at what are their tax rates. It ain't zero. This no big corporation is paying taxes is a lie. No rich person is paying taxes is a lie. And yet it's been so pushed in, and now the Trump wing is just like, you know what? Why fight it? Let's just go out and give people some more free stuff and indebt the country further. And then, I don't know the whole, if we're going to go and bully Panama or Greenland or whatever. I mean, I don't even know. You know what I do know? I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I'm glad I get to choose my tax rate. And it's a hell of a lot less than 35 or 37 or 39.6%. I could choose to pay 0, or I could choose to ratchet up anywhere I want. I could pay 1, 3, 5% in various European countries. I can pay 9% living in Dubai. I can pay whatever rate I want, choosing from countries that I think, quite frankly, are much more calm. I don't have to deal with the politics of the U.S. I don't have to deal with the sense of, I would imagine, feeling stabbed in the back. That if you're an entrepreneur and supported the Republican Party because you thought, as I did, you know what, I don't agree with them on all the social stuff and the freedom stuff. Let people do what they want to do. But you know what? I believe that people who innovate should be able to keep more of their own money, and there shouldn't be a punitive system to take more just because you can. Might doesn't make right, geopolitically or by reaching into your pocket. And yet, apparently, Republicans have just, hey, populism is the thing now, and let's just cater to the masses. I agree with Mark Twain. When you find yourself in the majority, you should stop and reflect, because you're probably wrong. Many Republicans, the article says, have been reluctant to go along as a bedrock idea of conservative economic philosophy is the idea that low taxes fuel economic growth. You know who thinks that, probably? Guys like Mitt Romney. Where's Mitt Romney now? He's gone. He's out. They chased him out of town. They don't want people like that anymore. They want people who are rebel rousers. And I get it. People are angry. Why? Because they're scared. Because their country isn't what it once was. Because you can't simply go out and buy that 5-bedroom house with one parent working and the other parent stays at home and raises the kids, and you get to go to Cancun for 2 weeks every year, and you have 3 cars in the garage, and your kids go to school, and you've got a great life barbecuing in the summers. That's gone. Why? Because your country decided not to be competitive. You thought you would bully the rest of the world to stay poor for the rest of your life, the rest of your existence, and it didn't work. The Malaysias and dozens of other countries have caught up. I have 100 people who work for me. Not one of them is in the United States and never will be, for any number of reasons, including the policies that the U.S. government sets. I'm a microcosm of what's happening around the world, and the fact that there are wealthy Americans who are leaving the country, as I did. They're taking their businesses, they're taking their jobs with them, and at scale, that means the U.S. is still, it's one of the wealthier countries in the world, no doubt about it. But are the people there feeling wealthy? No. The result is what I've told you. They are going to be not only political consequences, where even Republicans are going to come around and say, you know what, fine, rich people just pay more. There's going to be social unrest at some point. It will get worse. And I've been telling you that because people feel so afraid. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm not saying they're wrong to feel that way. I'm saying perhaps we should understand why we've gotten ourselves into this problem, why you can't go out and buy a property. I think the government, whether it's zoning laws that don't make building more housing affordable, or whether it's just the way the U.S. has comported itself around the world, they have not been a competitive place. They figured you would never leave. As Gavin Newsom said, where else are you going to go? A lot of places, Gavin, not only Texas and Florida, but countries all around the world that offer more freedom, lower tax rates, less regulation. There's a hell of a lot of places to go, including places that have the same weather and the same girls as California and better. And this to me is pretty troubling. The paradigm has shifted. No one in your government is going to fight for you. If they will get effing slaughtered, then they'll just flip it back on you, their voter. I told you that this would come. And I did an interview with a woman named Lynette Zhang recently. And I told her, this is not about Trump. This is not about Biden. People in the U.S., what the downfall will be for people who don't move as I'm suggesting that you do, is this guy's a communist because he criticized one thing President Trump said. I'm calling it as I see it, and I'm quoting chapter and verse facts. There's no need to raise taxes on people already paying all the taxes just because Bernie Sanders has put into your head for decades that nobody who's rich is paying any tax. Come and see all the clients that we help move overseas who are making millions, who have millions. They're paying a boatload of taxes because they run a business and they did not get dramatic tax relief, including from the first Trump administration. The low tax people are not going to save you. Do you know where you save yourself? Countries in Europe, Ireland, Switzerland, Greece. These places have special regimes. Even Poland now. You can dramatically lower your taxes. Spain even has a regime. Italy has a regime. These are countries you probably never thought were low tax. And they're not for the locals, but they want to attract you because they've realized they have to be competitive. The U.S., fine, they have the $5 million gold card. They're claiming they sold thousands. The website's not even open yet. You can go to the UAE. You can go to, we filmed Living a King in Oman. These are tax-friendly places. In the Americas, Panama, Costa Rica, Uruguay. Uruguay is less corrupt than Canada now, the report says. You have to open your mind to realize, you might think, hey, these politicians, I like the guy. Hey, listen, I like someone who shakes up the system too. Oh, if you don't like Trump, you must like Kamala. When did I say that? I'm all for shaking up the system. Shaking up the system apparently means you're going to pay even more. Who knows what could happen? But the fact that it's even being discussed should be concerning. In Asia, Malaysia, we host our event there, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines. So many places that you can move. There's something for everyone. If you go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, you can learn how we help our clients do this. Even though Americans are taxed on the virtue of their citizenship, you can still use exclusions, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, to dramatically reduce your taxes, maybe even down to zero in some cases, probably into the single digits. At worst case right now, low double digits. By the way, tax code got more complex under Trump for people who move overseas. So another reason that if you are an American, you want to go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply and learn how we can help you because you want to get as much out of the U.S. net as is possible. You probably want to get a second passport because, my goodness, Elizabeth Warren said, the great thing about our country is we have citizenship-based taxation. If we impose a wealth tax in the future, we can get it from you anywhere. So you need a second passport. You need a place to go. You need a residence permit. You need to figure out your U.S. taxes. You need to make sure you're going to a place that has lower taxes. Where do you move your business? These are all things we help our clients do under one roof. You don't have to go to 6 different people and manage them yourself. You can come to one place and get it handled for you. You're going to pay a fee for us to help you and review dozens of different options with you because we're not someone who's just going to say to everybody, Dubai, everybody gets Dubai, 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 Dubai. There's thousands of guys. They'll all help you move to Dubai. None of them understand the reality that Dubai isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for tax. Dubai is no longer tax-free for entrepreneurs. They won't tell you that. But if you come to us, we have a bespoke solution for each different client. Go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. Listen, I left the United States many years ago. I have never once looked back. I've tried to make peace with the country. It's no longer my problem. And yet, because we have some of our clients who are from the United States, I feel compelled to tell you what's happening and to call it as I see it from afar, not being too close to things, but from afar, and say, I don't think this gets any better. I don't think your taxes go down dramatically. I don't think Trump is ending the income tax. I think there's a lot of comments that are being made and people grasp onto the ones they want. Here's the truth. We can help a lot of American entrepreneurs right now reduce their taxes to the single digits by moving to any number of dozens of different places around the world. That is a fact. Reducing income tax, everything else, who knows what'll happen. It is a fact based on past client experiences. You can lower your taxes between 0 and 10 or 11%. for many different Americans. It's not a promise that it will work for you, but it is a comment that that's the kind of person that we work with, that's the kind of results they get. If you want those results, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. If we can't help you, we will tell you. We will not push you into something you don't need, but it's worth having the conversation. It's worth knowing your options.